When you're caught in the perfect storm of political season, it's easy to become a target for unwarranted, I think, aggression. And if you look back, one of the things that I noticed as I look back is that the President Obama and his administration said absolutely nothing about drug prices throughout the entire period. And I asked one of the people in his camp, why is he staying silent on this? Why isn't Joe Biden saying something? Why isn't President Obama saying something? He said very curtly, they're not running. And so it's really a populist issue, and I think was blown out of proportion. And so in terms of regret, I think maybe not seeing that as acutely would have been a minor regret, but because the price increase has stuck, so to speak, I don't really. That's the main mission, was to raise the price and have it generate increased revenue. That's happened. So I'm happy with respect to that.
So apart from the politics, and perhaps in business you can never put it entirely apart from the politics, as you learned, but apart from the politics, in the end, did it benefit the investors in your company, in Turing, the way that you handled this? Would you have made more money for your investors if you had not raised it as fast, not been as public?
In that sense, it was difficult to sort of do anything. In terms of the investors, from a cash flow perspective, it makes no difference. In fact, you're better off raising it faster, I think. From the perspective of things like multiples and exit opportunities and brand name and things like that, there's certainly some damage done. Again, I think it was somewhat unexpected. When I ran Retrophin, I raised the price of a drug 20-fold, and there wasn't any stories about it.
How do you pitch what seems to me an ideological pursuit to be the poster boy of capitalism versus actually running a company and having to go against DC, which you have to kind of negotiate and dance around to have a successful company? Can you do both, be the CEO of a company in this country and be the poster boy of capitalism?
It's hard, isn't it? I mean, in your prior segment, we were talking about all these criminal charges against banks.
Yeah.
And, we have an administration that's very thuggish and bullyish when it comes to companies. They look at them as targets, and people as well, as targets to shake down, in essence. And actually enforcing justice is not their goal. I think their goal is to make a name for themselves, to extract these billion-dollar settlements. And one has to tread very carefully, and that's why some of the greatest business people have kept the lowest profiles.
And particularly in the pharmaceutical area, because people feel very strongly about their prescription drugs. I mean, regular people, voters out there, which means politicians get involved and government gets involved. So did you actually put Turing to some extent at risk of the government coming in? Because if you push too far on the government and pharmaceuticals, they will come down on you hard.
Absolutely, and learning at a young age that, the government in many ways is an apparatus of vengeance, and to be a little cynical about it is frustrating. At the same time, nobody talks about sparsentan, the drug that I in-licensed, which was on the shelf at Bristol Myers Squibb. In-licensed, it just hit its primary endpoint in a phase 3 trial for focal segmental glomerulosclerosis, a trial I planned with NYU. Nobody talks about that. Nobody talks about the new chemical entities I put into the clinic. We like to talk about one basically insignificant drug at the end of the day relative to larger drugs.